Hi, I'm Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy, often bringing you tips and strategies that will boost your business, your sales, your teamwork, your customer service, your management, your image, your reputation, and yes, your profits. But today, instead of giving tips about communication, I'm going to focus on the fact that December is a month when most of us, in some way or another, think about miracles. For some people, the miracle might have to do with the personal faith that they hold. For others, the miracle might be looking around them and seeing all the generosity that takes place in December. In a previous profession, I was a uh, professional fundraiser. I know that as a fact, December is the biggest giving month of all. And it's not just because people want to get their funds in so that it can be deductible for tax reasons. No, there's something special about December that prompts people to give. It might be the miracle of watching a child who goes to bed on Christmas Eve and wonders if she will hear footsteps on the rooftop that night. Or it could indeed be the miracle of thinking about a new year, 12 months ahead of us for a fresh start. That could be the miracle. December, yes, makes us think of miracles. And I'm thinking especially this month of the first miracle in my life. I've had a few occurrences I would call miracles, but this was the first one, and I want to share it with you. I was 8 years old. I came home from church with my family, sat on the bed, and said to my father, "Shoot me," as a kid would do. So my father gave the gun symbol, and being a very limber child at 8 years old, I tumbled backwards into the bed, and my knee came up and hit my tooth, as flexible as I was then. It knocked off half of my front tooth. And my parents were very concerned about that. They weren't very concerned, though, that the tooth had put a slight slit in my knee. I guess back in those days, they put painful iodine or mercurochrome on that and a Band-Aid and felt that was it. This was on Sunday, remember. By the following Friday, though, the knee had become so infected, seriously infected, that when my father came home from work that day, I was screaming in agony. Not the agony of a kid who's just trying to get attention, but the agony of somebody who was feeling excruciating pain. They took me to the local doctor, stayed in that clinic a couple of days, and then finally, the doctor said to my parents, "This is more serious than you can imagine, and you need to take him to New Orleans to the Ochsner Clinic, headed by Dr. Alton Ochsner, who later would become famous as one of the first physicians to talk about the connection between smoking and lung cancer. At that time, he was a very prominent surgeon in New Orleans when I went to him. So they began trying to identify what the problem was and noticed quickly that it was a streptococci infection, very, very potentially dangerous. So from week to week, I underwent surgeries, 3 of them, as I remember. And being confined to a bed as an 8-year-old is bad enough in itself. I still remember a nurse entering the room, and I said, "You're not going to give me another shot, are you?" But of course she did. And so the situation worsened. At last, Dr. Ochsner called my parents to come sit with him, and he said to them, "You are not going to be able to keep Bill alive unless you're willing to take a risk." And they said, "Well, tell us what the risk would be." Dr. Alton Oxner said to them, there's this new miracle drug, still in the experimental stages, but we think that it can help Bill fight that infection. And naturally, my parents said, whatever that drug is, give it to him. And they did. The drug worked. It worked wonders. It worked miracles. Yes, the infection took a long time to heal. And I do remember lying for weeks and weeks and missing school in my hometown of Columbia, Mississippi. Had a cast on my right leg. That was very confining, but I was grateful to be healing. And what was that drug? The newspapers across the world, I imagine. I have copies of some of them. The newspapers across the world said, 8-year-old saved by new miracle drug, penicillin. You can see why I think back to that moment with great gratitude, because if it had not been for Dr. Alton Oxner recommending and applying penicillin to my treatment, I would not have enjoyed all these years since. This is a story that even my closest friends don't know, my golf buddies. I've never told it to them, but I'm glad to share it with you in the month of December, which is the month of miracles. Ricky Steele, I know you're watching, listening. Appreciate your being here. Wish you the best of the season and miracles for yourself and yours. Now, in closing, what I'd like to do is invite you to tell me about your personal miracles. They didn't have to happen in December. We're just thinking about them in December. What are personal miracles that happened for you in your life? May not be physical as they were with me, but I'd be so happy to hear about them. My shortest and simplest email address to remember, Dr. Bill Speaker, that's DRBILL Speaker @gmail.com. And in closing, I wish you many wonderful miracles in December and all the other months in your life.